When it comes to climate change, do you use the ambulance emergency approach or the lighthouse approach? Are you like an emergency that pushes itself through, or are you the lighthouse that pulls others in, that guides? Have you noticed the change in terminology? It's about urgent action now, closing window of opportunity, climate catastrophe, even collapse. I hear this from institutions and activists alike. But whether you frame something that important, an emergency, crisis or change, is a big deal because it colors everything else. I believe that this emergency frame is wrong and counterproductive. We have the Paris Agreement of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees by 2050. Many countries and companies have adopted net zero by 2050 and many long-term targets. That's 27 years from now. Does it mean a 27-year-long emergency or endless emergency? Who can live like that? And if you are an environmental teacher or other professional trying to make your organization more sustainable and adapted to climate change, what does this emergency approach mean to you? Is that emergency approach helping you? Are you better at your job? Whether it's reducing energy usage, reducing waste, or getting others on board. Who can maintain that level of urgency for too long? When I was at the Environmental Education Conference recently, I heard Costa from Gardening Australia saying that we need to replace urgency with certainty. If you are on my email list, you got that email. You see the lighthouse there, it's no coincidence we are next to the lighthouse, but before I get to the alternative approach, which is the Green Lighthouse approach, alternative to the emergency approach, we need to explore the first one, the emergency one, first. Let's do it. Hi, I am Jan from sustainablebutterflies.com.au, and today's content is related to the pillar number 3, behavior. You have of course seen an ambulance rushing through the city. It's flashing, right? It's noisy and it pushes itself through the cars with good intentions to save life, right? What do the other cars do? They move aside temporarily, and as soon as the ambulance is gone, they move back to their original spot on the road, back to normal. More examples of emergency. Imagine there is a fire near your house. What do? You call 000, you might have to evacuate. The fireys come, they put out a fire, and then you move back home. Another example, imagine you're driving in the middle of nowhere, your car breaks down. What do? You call the roadside assistance, they come over, they fix the car, and you continue your trip. The point is this, there are two states, the state of emergency and the normal state, right? And the tendency is always the same, to move away from emergency to normal state. The word emergency comes out of emerge or arise, out of somewhere, out of normal, right? So that we can go back to normal. Like the cars merging back into the traffic, like you moving back home after the fire, like you continuing your trip. We deal with an emergency, if it's in our face, so that we can go back to normal. These two are opposites. In your organization, are you like that green, noisy ambulance that pushes itself through only to see others step away, maybe like it, maybe recycle while you're around, or water the plants, or turn off the lights, but then as soon as you're gone, they move back to normal, like the cars merging into traffic after the ambulance has gone through? If that's what you're experiencing, have you asked yourself, why is that? Is it because people are lazy or stupid, or they don't care, or they're selfish? Is that because they're unaware, they don't understand climate change? Or is your approach wrong? Because remember, what is the natural tendency for people to do in an emergency, in a crisis? Do they go, hey, how do I join the crisis and emergency? Where do I sign up? How do I come on board? No, that's not what people do. People, when they're in an emergency, the tendency is to move away from it, to go back to normal. But that's not helping you, right? You want people to joining you, to supporting you, coming on board, supporting your climate change, adaptation, sustainability mission, right? But if they're moving away from you instead of towards you, right, and your mission, then you are getting the opposite result to what you want, right? And then people get depressed, they get resentful, they get bitter, and no wonder, I see it all the time. Here is what I suggest you do instead. Drop the emergency frame, right? Because how many options do we have here? 2. And what do people do in emergency? They move away and go back to normal, like the cars merging back into the traffic, right? So, how many options do we have now? 1. Now that's good, right? We have broken that polarity. They're not moving away like in a crisis, retreating to the normal. But it's still not good enough, right? Because them being in the normal doesn't mean that they're on board with your sustainability mission. We have removed that moving away from, because you're not the green ambulance, noisy and flashing light and being really urgent, so that's great, awesome, but we don't have the moving towards yet. So, and that's what's coming. That's what I'll explain with the Green Lighthouse approach, because that's what the Green Lighthouse does. Now, just one thing. Notice the little person here. That's the people's personal normal. That's where they retreat to when there is this ambulance or emergency crisis, somewhere safe, familiar. It could be their house or their car or their clothes or their beliefs and habits, right? There is also the universal normal. And climate change, it's universal, right? Because it affects everything and everyone. But that's not what I mean here. That's why it's got a person here. We're talking about people's personal normal. Now we are progressing with it, right? Now you are not the ambulance, right? So people are not retreating, moving away from you, right? Which means that they are more open to a different approach. And that's your opportunity to use the Green Lighthouse approach, right? Instead of pushing and being noisy and very urgent and then them moving away, you do the opposite to what the ambulance does. You are flipping the script. What does the lighthouse do? Does it jump into the ocean going, hey, it's urgent, quickly, go this way, follow me, this is the right path, right now everyone? Of course not, right? It's stable, it's consistent, it's very solid, it has this glowing light, it's guiding, it's not pushing itself, it's guiding others, it's pulling them in, right? It's achieving, right? It gets the ships where it wants them to go and where it's best for them to be. Now, what would it be like if you had that ability of a lighthouse to guide others where it's best for them to be and best for our planet, climate change, and where you want them to be, right? Would you be more successful? Do you think you would burn out fast? Is this a better long-term strategy, do you think, since climate change is such a long-term issue? Let me introduce you to the Green Lighthouse Method, a simple but strategic, actionable, low-budget method that allows you to become a green lighthouse and guide others, pull them in your organization, guide them through the complex waters of climate change. It does it through a 3-step process of laying the foundation of the lighthouse, design and build, and then lighting it up. Because you need that consistent green light, that glowing light that guides these lost ships at the sea. We build the lighthouse together, I help you. This method is the alternative to the emergency approach, which doesn't work long-term, but we need long-term solutions, right, to long-term problems, obviously, which is climate change, right? Now, to become a green lighthouse, click the link in the video description if you're watching it on YouTube or somewhere else on the page. I can't wait to see you. The Green Lighthouse Method is on the other side of that link. I can't wait to help you build your green lighthouse. I'll see you there.